Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and welcome to Soft Flow Yoga. It's a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. Thanks so much for joining me. So our class today is called Release Tight Outer Hips. So we have some poses that will really target kind of the outer hips, kind of get into the glutes and hamstrings a little bit too. Because I know for me personally, my hips get pretty tight, so I really enjoy teaching hip openers. So that's what we're going to do today. You will need some props today. One of the main things you'll need for this practice is a strap, a yoga strap or a belt, something long like a jump rope. So we'll have that and our regular things, a nice soft blanket or a towel that's rolled up or folded that you can sit on and kneel on, just something soft. And of course, a couple of yoga blocks or hardbound books, have those nearby, and just an optional piece like a big pillow or cushion. I've got my yoga bolster here. As always, we're going to start in the seated position. So find your pillow or blanket that you like to sit on and sit up nice and tall. You might cross your legs like this. You might even sit with your legs extended if that feels a little bit more comfortable for you today. Even feel free to sit up against a wall if you need a little extra support against your back or in a chair today. Start there and then make your way back down to the mat as we get things going. So whenever you have found your comfortable seat, again, just be sure you feel that length in the spine, you feel tall, you feel proud, and we'll begin our practice. Let's just start by taking a few deep breaths. You might inhale fully and completely through your nose, and you can exhale through your nose or out through your mouth. One more time. Nice full breath in and exhale. Just a nice way to get reacquainted with your breath. A reminder that breath is the foundation of our practice, and we like to begin with breath. So just continue with that slow, steady breath. And as you're able, breathe in a way where you can feel your breath. For example, you might notice the rise and fall of your chest or your belly as you breathe in and out. Another thing to pay attention to is the sound of your breath. If your breath seems a little soft, just turn up the volume here. These are just some ways to help you pay close attention to what's going on inside of you. We're always distracted by things that are going on outside of us as well as inside of us. So if we can pinpoint our attention on one thing, that really narrows our focus and really makes for a very beautiful practice. Slow, steady breaths. You can do this with your eyes opened if you'd like. Just gaze forward or downward at the ground. You can certainly close your eyes here. Feel your breath. Listen to the sound of your breath. I like to call this our breathing meditation. A time to focus and concentrate and just be here. This is also a wonderful opportunity to set an intention for your practice. That could be anything that you need or desire. It doesn't even have to do with the poses that we're doing in our yoga class. What our yoga really does for us, it kind of opens us up so that we're able to receive. So if you're asking for something, praying for something, you're really just opening up that part of yourself to receive what you're needing. Now just to bring a little bit more energy to the breath, try this. As you inhale, just feel the breath rising upward. Feel like you're pulling it up, excuse me, to fill up your lungs. And as you exhale, as you're able, draw your navel inward towards your spine. It's a little contraction feeling in your abdominal system. Again, as you inhale, just feel the lengthening of your spine. So notice that you're sitting up a little taller. Breath is rising to fill up your lungs. So a nice expansive breath. And again, as you exhale, draw your navel inward towards your spine. It's a way of connecting to your center body. These are just two more ways to bring more attention to yourself. Slow, steady breaths, mindful breathing, listening to the sound of your breath, feeling your breath. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Using these breaths now to prepare our bodies to move. We'll just add on to what we started here. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Using these breaths now to prepare our bodies to move. We'll just add on to what we started here. Now our moving meditation. When you're ready, inhale, extend your arms out across the room and all the way up towards the ceiling. Reaching, good extension. Exhale, extend your arms out and then all the way back down. Let's do that again together. Inhale, extend your arms out. Now you want to really reach with effort as if you're going to touch the walls and then eventually the ceiling. So a good stretch. Exhale, same thing. Extend your arms out and just feel your fingertips or imagine your fingertips touching the walls on either side of you. Now go ahead and continue to move and breathe at your own pace. You don't have to follow me necessarily. You can even close your eyes and just let the breath move you. And that's an important piece here. Let your breath move you. And just notice the sensations here. If you happen to be moving in slow motion, just notice your shoulders. Notice your arms as you reach up into the air. Pay attention to the lengthening through the sides of your body. And continue to pay attention to your breath. Pay attention to the lengthening through the sides of your body. And continue to pay attention to your breath. The same effort of reaching out and all the way up. And the same as you come back down. Go ahead and finish the breath that you're on right now, then take 2 more breaths. And the same as you come back down. Take your time, certainly no rush. Very nice. Go ahead and let your arms rest down by your side. You can just let your hands rest in your lap. And just take a few deep breaths. So if this is your first time to soft flow, again, welcome. Now as we move through our soft flow practice, as you can see, we take our time, we move slowly, we move with intention. And as we step into our yoga postures, and there's not that many that we actually do, but as we do them, we don't force or push ourselves into our poses. That really just kind of takes away the full effect of what yoga is all about. We really want to be able to move our bodies in a fluid, steady way without any tension. So we actually don't push ourselves to 100% or past 100% that we sometimes do to ourselves. We really back off and really work in a range maybe 60 to 70%. You'll see as we get into the practice. I'm just going to turn sideways here. And just bring your hands behind you. Just prop yourself up onto your fingertips. With you bringing your arms behind you, your shoulders also come back. This is just a way to open up through the chest. We're going to create a somewhat of a back bend. We're going to tip the chin up slightly here. And it just opens our heart space. Now, as you inhale, press your fingertips into the floor just to bring energy in your arms. Also breathing in to fill up your lungs. Very expansive breath. And feel that stretch quality across your chest from shoulder to shoulder. And as you exhale, continue to draw your belly button in towards your spine, engaging your core center, awareness of your center body. Again, breathing in, pressing into the ground with the fingers. Energy shooting up the arms, breath rising, fill up your lungs. Exhale, draw belly in, and as you're able, squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you, or just draw your shoulders back a little bit more. Now your back muscles are helping with that process. squeezing the shoulder blades. Now we really have brought a little bit more awareness, attention, and sensation to the body by doing this. Let's take 2 more breaths. And then lower your chin so your neck is neutral, and then walk your hands toward yourself so you can sit up tall once again. Bring your arms around to the front, and your hands once again can just rest in your lap. Just hold here for a moment. Just notice that transition from a very active body now to a relaxed body. Take a breath or 2 here. Since we just did a back bend, now let's do a forward fold. So if your legs happen to be crossed here, let's uncross the legs, and we're going to place the soles of the feet together like so. Now for a more deep posture, you might draw the heels in close like this, but just in case this doesn't feel great on the knees, perfectly fine to slide the feet forward. That way you create more of a 90-degree angle in your legs and perhaps less strain in the knees. Now it's okay if the legs don't touch the floor. Perfectly fine. That's where your books or blocks can come in handy. So maybe just tuck the books or blocks underneath the legs so they can actually just rest on those props. And then just hold on to your shins or ankles. We're going to inhale and lift ourselves up so we feel nice and tall through the spine. Then as we exhale, draw belly in and start to move. You're hinging forward slightly from the hips, but leading with your heart and chin. I'm barely moving, and I didn't go very far right here, just a slight angle. We want to maintain this lengthened spine for this first part. Inhale again and just feel the extended spine, also feeling as if your torso wants to rise right up out of the pelvic bowl. Exhale, draw belly in and maybe hinge forward a little bit more. Now I'm at about 40%, and I could certainly stay here. But I'm going to go a little bit more so I can start to move into that 50 to 60% range where I can start to feel the body experience the stretch. So I'm going to inhale more, lengthen the spine, exhale, hinge forward a tiny bit more. Now I can actually reach my toes. You don't have to reach your toes. You can hold on to your feet, ankles, or shins. Now you're also welcome to lower your chin and round your back a little bit. That might allow you to go a little deeper without having to force yourself to go deeper. That rounded spine is just a little bit more space created. So you can still work in that 50, 60, 70% range. I'm about 50% here, but I do feel this. I can feel this in my inner legs, and because my back is rounded, it's slightly curved, I can feel a light stretch all the way up and down the back. And what's nice about it, I don't feel stressed here. And that's what you want to feel. Relaxed, calm, and at ease while we move into just about every pose that we do in soft flow. Now, if your back happens to be rounded, do your best here to take a deep breath and breathe into your back body. Just as we were doing the back bend, I had you breathe into the chest and feel that stretch across your chest from shoulder to shoulder. Can you experience the same thing, that stretch across the back body from shoulder to shoulder? Really feel that expansiveness there. We're just trying to send a little bit more air into the lungs, using a greater capacity of the lungs. Now we are working hips here, but we're going to focus our class on the release of tight outer hips. But this is certainly a nice stretch for the inner legs and hips. 2 more breaths here. When you're ready, first just lift your chin just to help re-extend the spine just a little bit, and then hinge your way back up to a nice tall seat. Just take your time, hold here, take a breath. And again, notice that change from an active body to a relaxed body. We're finished with these props. We're going to set them to the side and just make your way carefully to your hands and knees. This is where your soft blanket or towel will come in handy. I like to open mine up to a rectangle because we're going to settle here on our hands and knees like so. Moving into cat and cow, 2 different poses, but they flow together. First, inhale and just tip the chin up, even if you feel like your heart is moving forward. At the same time, your pelvis is tipping back, you're arched, or your back will arch and your belly kind of drops. So you create a back bend. That's this cow pose. With the exhale, tuck the pelvis under. Feel the belly button pull up towards your spine. Feel the curvature of the spine, that roundedness, and then chin to chest. Inhale, reverse it, tilt the pelvis back, allow the belly to drop, back arches, heart opens, look forward. Exhale, reverse it, moving, rounding the spine, cat pose. I'm going pretty slowly here to demonstrate, but you can go at your own pace. Remember, allow the breath to move you. This is a wonderful movement for the body. It's a nice undulation of the spine. It really gets the hips moving here. Let's take one more breath in and out. We're going to take a quick little break. When you finish your exhale into cat pose, come to a neutral tabletop position like so. Now this can be pretty stressful on the wrists. I can already feel like my wrists are a little bit tired here. So what you can do, you can take a little break. So I'm going to tuck the toes and sit back like so. I call this half hero because I'm not sitting all the way back onto the heels, but just moving back enough so I can take the pressure off my hands. And then just circle the hands. You can even do this. I like to flip the palms the other way and then press the tops of the hands very lightly, maybe 2 or 3 times into my blanket, just to get a counter stretch. I do that on both sides. You can circle the wrist and even wiggle the fingers, and that should bring some relief to the hands. Let's come back out to hands and knees. Remember, you can rest at any point. Let's start getting into the outer hips a little bit. So I'm going to turn this way so you can see this effectively. So I'm going to bring my knees together, just closer together. They don't have to touch necessarily, but bring them together and then take your hands wider for a little balance. Because what I'm going to do is lean over to my left and really kind of sit into this outer hip. And once I've kind of sat there, I'm going forward and back as a way to massage kind of the outer hip area. And for me, like I said, I get pretty tight in my hips, so this feels wonderful. I love this feeling. Slightly moving, gentle stretch and release. And be sure you're breathing. So we're just sitting on one side for a moment. If your wrists get tired, you can always take a break, come back to center, and then sit off to the other side. So I'm now sitting off to my right there. It feels good. Even just holding the pose. You don't have to move this. You can just sit into it. But I'm going to add that little movement. It's just an added massage feeling. Be sure you're breathing, whether you're just holding still or adding a little movement to this. Let's come back up to center. If you'd like, let's just do one more half hero. Tuck your toes, kind of crawl back, release the pressure off the hands and give them a little massage. Alrighty, so we've already broken ground for getting into those tight outer hips. Let's move our blanket to the side and get set up for our next pose. Downward facing dog. So you'll come back to this tabletop position. If your wrists happen to be directly underneath the shoulders, that's fine. But here, step your hands forward. So now your wrists are out from underneath your shoulders. If we drew a straight line from shoulders, we go right down to the floor. Spread out your fingers pretty wide on your mat so that you can feel a stretch between each finger. Even grip your mat a little bit. Lean into your hands just a little bit or press your palms firmly into the mat. That way your palms flatten and open. They get a stretch too. Also notice your arms. We want to feel a nice energy in the arms as they straighten here. Now tuck your toes under. Let's do one more cat-cow flow. Inhale, tip the chin up, look forward, arch your back. Exhale, round it all out into cat pose. Hold cat pose. Be sure toes are tucked. Lift your knees and then send your hips into the air. Of course, you'll be assisted by placing or pushing hands into the mat. Arms stay straight and strong. Hips lift up. You can adjust the feet. Sometimes I need to tiptoe forward just a little bit and even take the feet a little wider. Hold for a second here. Feel the energy and strength in your arms, shoulders, and upper back. All right away, let's start walking the feet forward, just maybe to the center of the mat. Take as much time as you need until your feet feel flat on the ground, and then slide your fingers toward your toes. This is a deep forward fold. We're going to modify this. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees, and then hold here. We're only rising up halfway, so we're in a modified version, really, of a forward fold in this case. But we may feel some engagement in the hamstrings. It's the backs of the legs here, in part, that are helping us to hold ourselves in place. We want to feel the extended spine. Feel like your hips are actually moving to the wall behind you while the top of your head is guiding you forward. My hands are just resting on the shins. You can even bring your hands up to your thighs. Feet are flat on the ground, very solid connection to the ground. Now, changing that sensation, shift your weight into your heels so your toes feel light. You can tap them. Bend your knees and let your hips lower like you're going to sit. Even hold here for a moment. This is just bringing some strength to the legs. Keep the spine extended, arms out to the side. Drive your heels down into the floor to help you stand up. So you're straightening your legs. Face forward. Reach your arms straight up into the air to finish this straight line. Inhale again, reach a bit higher, then exhale, lower your arms down to your side. We've made it to our first standing position. This is mountain pose. Feel free to roll the shoulders out a little bit. You can roll them backward and then forward. All right, we're going to do a half salute. We're going to fold forward and then come back up. And then we're going to fold again, but we're going to do some work on the outer hips. And we will need props for that. But first, meet me in mountain pose. Inhale, extend your arms out and up. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, and sit back and down into your imaginary chair. Your belly might touch your thighs, arms come down, let the head drop. You might touch your toes, but you don't have to touch your toes. Inhale, slide your hands up the shins to the knees or thighs. Hold here like we did earlier to the flat back, like you're a tabletop, so perhaps as best as you can parallel to the floor. Feet are grounded, knees are bent, legs are engaged. Finish standing by shifting your weight into your heels. Bend your knees, lower your hips, lift the chest, arms out to the side, drive heels into the floor, stand up tall, reach a little higher into the sky as you're able. Exhale, you can return your arms down to your side. Finishing that little sequence. One more time, just big circle in the shoulders. Excellent. All right, now we're going to do a very similar thing, but this time with a variation so we can start working into the outer hips. What we will need is a couple of blocks out in front of us here. Now, if this seems too low, you'll see once we get into the posture, you can get out of your pose and even do this with a wall, table, or the seat of a chair, okay? Just in case the forward fold that we're about to do feels a little too deep, okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead, you know what I'm gonna do actually, is bring my bolster in the front of my mat and place my blocks on top of that just to provide a little bit more height, okay? Because I think I might need the height as well. So let me just show you what the legs are going to do here, what the feet are going to do. First, just start in mountain pose, okay? I'm gonna try to mirror you here. I'm just going to peel the right heel off the floor, okay? So just basically just bent the knee and lifted the heel like so, okay? Right foot, peel, all right? And then you're going to step that foot over the other. So we're like this. Now the standing straight leg, actually we want to put a slight bend in that knee, okay? So I'm going to turn this way. So the knees are slightly bent, okay? And I've crossed at the feet. I've crossed at the shins, really. All right, this takes a little balance, so just be aware. Look forward. Now, inhale, extend the arms up into the air. Exhale, spread your wings and start to fold. Take your time. Now, we're going down to a forward fold. Remember, if this is too low, you can always stack your blocks, use a wall, table, or chair, or maybe what I'm doing here, I've just placed my blocks on my cushion, and I think this works just fine. And so what I've got here is this forward fold with the legs crossed, and I can really feel this in my hips. And I'm going to separate my blocks just to provide a little bit more balance, because I'm going to do that a similar kind of massage sensation of I'm just moving my hips side to side, side to side. And of course, we're going to do the other side. We're going to cross the legs in the opposite direction so we can get the balance here. So notice how this feels. Check in to see if you can go lower. Only go lower if you're not compromising the pose, making sure you're not stressing your body. At any point you feel like you're overdoing it, dial it back. If you're at 90 or 100% of the posture, dial it back to 60 or 70%. I'm going to restack my blocks so I can start to lift up a little bit. Now remember, we're in this balancing position with the feet. So I want to be sure my left foot is rooted strongly into the floor. My lifted right heel is not as grounded, but I'm going to press those toes into the floor. Okay, it's going to engage the outer legs and hips to start to rise up with an inhale. Okay, once I'm all the way up, but my arms aren't all the way up, just go ahead and uncross the legs so you can plant the feet, and let's just finish the line, reaching all the way up into the sky. Exhale, arms back down. All right, how did that work for you? Go ahead and shake out the shoulders. Even check in with your feet here if you need to, because there was some pressure on one side, since that was only one foot all the way rooted into the earth while the other heel was lifted. Okay, we're going to get ready for the other side. Start in mountain pose. Feel grounded and connected here, and then peel your left heel off the floor. Cross it over or in front of the right. You're going to soften the knees. We're going to get ready for a forward fold. Same thing. When you're ready, inhale, extend your arms up. Exhale, spread your wings. Be sure your knees are bent. Start to fold, hinge. If you need a little bit more balance, maybe hands on thighs, or if you've got a wall, table, or chair in front of you, use that to help guide you down. And then find your blocks, the seat of a chair, whatever you need here for a little added support. Breathe. That's the main thing. Don't worry about getting too deep into the pose, because you certainly don't need to go very deep to feel the full benefit of the posture. Just by crossing the legs as we have here and folding even slightly does put a different sensation in the hips. Okay, outer hips and kind of in the glute area, your gluteus maximus and gluteus medius muscles there, large muscles of the body. I'm holding static, but I'm going to do a little shift side to side. Now, another thing you can always do is if you feel complete with a pose, even though I'm still in it, feel free to come out of the posture early. No worries. Or if you just need to lighten it up so you're not stressing your body anymore, you can do that too. Okay, I'm going to restack my blocks. Feel my feet root into the floor. I'm already starting to lift my torso a little bit, finding enough balance. Arms out to the side with a nice inhale, standing up. Uncross legs so I have more balance. Then finish the line by reaching up into the air. Nice stretch. Exhale, arms down to the side. Good. Roll out those shoulders again. Good. So that's something you can do just to get into the outer hips a little bit. Remember, using a wall or table, something like this, just to help with some balance if you need it. Okay. I'm just going to move my props to the side. Coming back to mountain pose, and let's flow together. We're just going to add on here. Here we go. Inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees and sit back, slowly coming down, belly coming down towards thighs. Let your arms down, let your head relax here as well. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees. Long, flat back. Hold on the exhale. Take a breath or two here because this is what we have been doing. But we're going to slide back down in a second, bend the knees more, and then just follow me, slide down, bend the knees more, round your back, place your hands or fingers on the floor here so we can start walking the feet to the back end of your mat. Take as many steps as you need to until you're in a high push-up position, something like this. So you might need to lower the hips to draw a straight line. Make sure your hips don't sink too low. You can actually err on lifting the hips a little higher. I like to say you're forming another type of tabletop here, like a long coffee table, so the back is flat and long. We're going to breathe in. Exhale, bend your knees a little to send your hips up into the air. Sink the chest down, and you'll be in downward facing dog. Again, you might need to tiptoe forward a little bit and adjust your hands. Let's continue with the lunge. Follow me. Inhale, extend right leg up. It doesn't have to lift high, just reach with a fully extended leg as best as you can. Exhale, bend the right knee like this. Bring the right knee in underneath you towards your chin or chest. As you do that, start shifting your whole upper body forward like so. Your shoulders will end up aligned over the wrist. Now go ahead and set the right foot down. Heel lifted like we did earlier. So the heel is lifted, you're on your toes and the balls of the foot. You're also going to take the left knee to the floor. Let's get the pressure off the hands. Just kind of sit back a little bit. Free up your right hand. What we really want to do is get this right foot a little higher up on the mat. I didn't make it that first time, so this is a variation that you can do. I'm just going to pick up my right foot and just bring it up a little higher on the mat right here. Now, relift the left knee. We're going to turn or rotate that whole back leg. And so the whole foot is on the floor. Now, if your body weight is still forward, walk your hands back like this on the mat, shifting your weight back so you have more weight in that back foot. Once you feel somewhat balanced, even though the feet are apart here, rise up to your fingertips. You can even bring in blocks right here just to lift a little higher to help extend your spine. Bring one hand, then two hands to your thigh. Push into your thigh, extend the spine. Now we're going to inhale and hinge our way up until we're facing forward. Then we're going to follow the arms all the way up into the air. This is called Warrior One. Reaching high and then a slight lunge here. We're starting getting into this left hip flexor, so more the front of the leg. It does have an effect on the outer portion of the leg there as well. Now from here, breathing in. Exhale, turn your torso towards the left side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Really reach and be sure your arms are parallel there. Take a look at your right knee. You just want to be sure it's pointing directly forward. Sometimes it falls to the inside, okay, but we really want that to be open. You want to open up through the inner leg, even feeling like this outer right knee and thigh is moving to the wall on that side. And it just creates nice alignment there. Then a side angle pose. So all we're doing here is creating more of an angle with the upper half of the body, like you're reaching out with this right arm. And we're going to rotate the arms like so. I like to bend this elbow. You might get a little lower and place the arm on your thigh while the left arm reaches up into the air. You can modify this. Bring the hand to the thigh so that way you don't have to lean over too much. Wherever you are, even if you're lower than this and it feels fine, you want to feel quite open here. Just be aware, does it feel like you're falling towards the ground? If that's the case, lift yourself up in order to open yourself up as if you were trying to turn to face the ceiling. You can even turn your gaze upward. Breathe in. You exhale, turn to look down, turn your body towards the floor, take the hands out there, and then fold. And move my blocks out of the way. Bring your hands to the mat like so. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. This is a runner's lunge. Let's add something here. You're going to gently rest the left knee onto the floor. Now, if you need a little extra padding, I'm on carpet, so I'm fine, and I have a really thick mat. But if you happen to be on hardwood floor and or a thinner mat, you might want to bring a blanket or a towel to pad your knee. From here, rise up like so. Just rest your hands on your thigh. You're going to lean back a little bit so that we take some of the weight off that front foot and start wiggling it forward. We're just changing the angle of the leg. If we drew a line from the knee, it would go straight down to the floor. This is going to change as we get into the next part of this posture. Keep your hands on your thigh. We'll inhale and try to get as tall as we can through the upper body. Exhale, start to move the hips forward slowly. See how this changes? The knee is now aligned nicely over the heel or the ankle, okay? So we don't have any pressure on this knee at all. What we do feel is a stretch in this left hip flexor area. Of course, that does have an effect on the outer hip. Now, because we're tall, this does create a back bend feel. If that's a little bit too strenuous, what you can do is just lean forward. Keep your hands here or bring your arms here. I'm just going to bring my arms here. Not too relaxed, however. We still want to make this an engaged position. Even though my arms are on my leg, I'm pushing into the thigh a little bit to make sure I'm maintaining an extended and active long torso. Taking some deep breaths. We'll take 3 more. Now remember, if you feel complete with this pose, if you're starting to feel some stress begin to rise up in your body or even in your mind, go ahead and start to come out of the position. When we're ready to come out, I'm going to place my hands on my thigh again to help assist myself out of that deep lunge. I'm leaning back a little bit more, again, taking some of the weight off that front foot so I can just slide it back. So I have returned to this 90-degree angle, like so. I'm going to slowly fold, take the hands out in front of that foot, tuck toes back here, lift the knee. That way we'll return to the runner's lunge. Press firmly and strongly into the floor with the hands, strong straight arms, so that we can release the weight from the right foot and just slide it back. You'll be in plank pose. Inhale. As you exhale, bend your knees, send your hips into the sky, lower your head between the arms, and you'll be in downward facing dog again. Adjust your feet. Perfectly fine to keep the knees very bent in downward facing dog. That's actually a good thing because it'll keep the hips nice and high. Other side. Inhale, extend left leg up into the air. Don't worry about the height, just reach. Exhale, bend the left knee. Bring the knee in underneath you towards your chest. Shift your whole upper body forward, shoulders over wrists. We're setting the left foot down. Now, if you can get the foot up next to the hand, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, just set it down. Set the right knee down. Pull the weight away from the hands. Use your left hand to go get the left foot and place it up a little higher on your mat. Replace the left hand. Relift the right knee. There's our runner's lunge, but we're going to warrior 1. So rotate that back leg so the right heel is on the floor. I'm going to bring my blocks in so I can rise up onto my blocks, sending my weight back into that foot. Rising up a little higher to help extend my spine. My torso is out over my left thigh so I can feel and sense that the crown of my head is pointing forward. Now, placing one hand, then 2 hands on my left thigh and really just guiding my way up, hinging from the hips until I'm facing forward. Inhale, reach both arms up into the sky. Exhale, just soften into the pose. Hold here for a couple breaths. Warrior 1. Strong legs here. All right, ready to open this up. Breathe in. Exhale, turn your torso now towards the right side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Check in with both legs. Be sure your left knee and your toes are still pointing forward, but also check with this back leg. If you need to turn that foot out a little bit so it doesn't aggravate the knee, do that. Here's our warrior 2. Side angle. Angle the upper half of the body by reaching out, leading with the left arm. Rotate here, maybe placing the left hand on the thigh. Reaching up into the sky. Remember, we're opening up as if you're going to turn to face the ceiling rather than turn to fall towards the ground. Deep breaths here. All right, here we go. Ready to move. Breathe in. Exhale. I'm starting to turn to face forward. Putting my hands out front so I can fold. Catch myself with my hands on the mat. Rise up onto my tiptoes behind me so the heel is lifted. There's my runner's lunge. We're setting the right knee onto the ground. Pulling back a little bit for a little balance so I can rise up or bring hands up to the thigh right here. We're going to lean back a little bit more, taking that weight off that front foot so we can wiggle it forward. Hands on thigh. Inhale, press into the thigh gently to help you extend through the torso. Exhale, draw belly in and start to send the hips forward, and the knee will start to realign over the heel. Feel what's happening on the right leg. You're welcome to stay up tall. That does put a back bend into this part of the body, the low back. You can always lean forward a little bit, hands or arms on the thigh. And just take 5 breaths. Just allow the body to kind of sink carefully and gently into this lunge. One more breath. I can really feel my legs really working here. And we're just going to come out of that deep lunge. I'm just pulling back, leaning back. So I can just slide this foot back a little bit so I form this 90-degree angle. Carefully leaning forward, hands on the ground. Tuck toes behind, lifting the knee. There's my runner's lunge. Get more weight into the palms, press strong arms, pull left foot back to meet the other plank pose. Hold for a moment. And then bring both knees to your mat. Alrighty, now depending on where your blocks are, we're going to bring the blocks around to one side of your mat. Just want to be at a place where you can get them, okay? Here, just sit back briefly into a full hero pose, but we're not going to be here long. Just slide off to the side and swing the legs around to the front here. Sit in the center of your mat. Block should be right next to you. Go ahead and roll down onto your back and draw the knees in with you. All right, flex the feet lightly. Hold on to the knees or shins and take the legs apart, opening up. So another light stretch in the inner legs. Doesn't have to be too forced. You don't have to pull the legs apart. Just gently open the legs and hold them open here. Just 2 or 3 breaths is all. And then we'll close. Bring the knees together, set the feet onto the floor. Once the feet are on the floor, you can also take the feet wider on your mat. We're going into a bridge pose, a supported bridge pose. And your blocks will come in handy. You'll need your blocks. So breathe in, fill up your lungs. Exhale, empty your belly, using that good energy you developed to lift your hips and slide your blocks underneath you like so, and then sit on those stack of books or blocks. I'm adjusting my feet. I'm even adjusting my upper body a little bit. And we're just going to just rest here for a moment. Just some nice steady breaths. This creates a nice opening through the whole front body without having to really strenuously be here, because this can be a demanding pose. It takes a lot of energy to be in this posture normally. But because we're sitting, there's a little sense of relaxation, but we still get a nice benefit. Three more breaths. After that third breath, just press feet firmly into the floor, energizing the legs. So you can lift your hips, remove the blocks. You can hold here for 2 seconds just to activate the glutes and hamstrings, and then lower your way down carefully to the ground. Once you've made your soft landing, extend your legs out front, and if you have room behind you, extend your arms behind you for a nice stretch here. We're going to come back up to seated, so go ahead and hug your knees in toward your body again. If you're able, rock forward and back a few times to gain momentum, to rock your way up to a seated position, or if you need to or want to, just roll to your side, and then press yourself up using your hands like this. All right, now this next pose, I'm going to turn away from you, like so, okay? But you'll need your strap. So grab your yoga strap. You're going to lie down again. So you can just stay as you are. Just lie flat on your back. But you're going to need your strap. Now you can watch me and then do this later, okay? Or go ahead and follow me if you can see me. We're mainly just focusing on the legs here. Alrighty? Now just extend the legs out in front of you for a moment. Let's get our strap ready. I'm going to do my right leg, so you can do your right leg if you like. I'm drawing the right knee into chest, so I can take the unraveled strap and place it on underneath the foot, or the sole of the foot. And then use the strap to help extend the leg and hold the leg in place. Don't worry if there's a bend in the knee and the foot doesn't have to reach straight up towards the ceiling. If it's somewhere kind of out in front of you at an angle, that's fine. First, we're just getting a nice established hamstring stretch here in the back of the leg. And you might be holding on to the strap with your right hand. Take one more breath. Now switch hands on the strap. So left hand on the strap here. You're going to free up the right arm and maybe just place it out to the side. And what we're going to do is take this whole straight-ish leg across the midline. Your midline is your spine. So your right leg is going to the left, your left. Just a little bit, okay? Now for me, it's not very far until I start to feel a little lengthening stretch quality in the outer leg and outer hip. Now you might feel something, but you may not feel something. Here's what you can do. You can send the leg away from you slowly or back behind you slowly. Just another massage sensation, just forward and back with this angled leg to kind of massage in this area of the outer hip and glute. We did this mechanism earlier, so we're just kind of repeating it here with this particular posture. And even if you don't feel anything, this is still wonderful. This is great for the outer leg, hip, just so that you can continue to have great mobility in your hips. Or we're going to take it, I'm going to switch hands again on the strap. I'm going to take the leg out to the right side just a little bit, bend the knee and let it come down. I'm going to let this bent arm come to the floor. I'm just resting my tricep and elbow on the floor. So what I've created here is happy baby pose, but only one leg, just to get into the inner right leg here. Just a few breaths. All the while, through all three of these poses, legs straight up, angled, and now at happy baby, we're trying to remain as flat as we can on the ground. All right, I'm going to bend the knee, drop the foot so I can release the strap here, extend the leg, and just hold here flat on the ground for a moment, and we'll get ready for the other side. All right, let's bend the left knee, hug it in towards your body. Take your time to get that strap wrapped around the sole of the foot, and we'll extend the leg up into the air. I'm holding on to the strap with my left hand, leg straight enough, just enough where you can feel a stretch in the back of the leg here. 2 or 3 breaths. Once again, just notice, are you still flat on the ground? We're going to maintain that sensation. We're going to get ready to cross the midline. I'm going to switch hands on the strap. Slowly take the left leg across the body just to the point where I start to feel something in this outer leg. For me, it's not very far. Now, what we're avoiding, what we're not doing is taking the leg all the way over where this hip comes off the ground. We're not doing that. It's a different sensation. We're trying to keep the whole pelvic bowl, your pelvis, on the floor and just take the leg across until it just naturally stops. You can hold it there or do that same massage, forward and back, forward and back. Breathe. That's the main thing. Wherever you happen to be in this position, you're breathing. Even imagining you're sending breath into the place you're working. A couple more breaths. Nice massage there. All right, switching hands on the strap again. Taking it out to the left side a little bit. Bend the knee, bend the elbow so you can rest the elbow on the floor until we're in half happy baby pose. One, it just takes that stretch out of the hamstrings, but puts a nice release and stretch through the inner leg. And are you still flat on the ground? Couple more breaths. And then we can soften. I'm just dropping the foot so I can easily remove the strap. All right, we're still lying down. We're done with the strap, so you can set that to the side. You might just lie here for a moment, knees bent, feet flat on the ground. I think this is a nice comfortable position. It just kind of softens everything. So just hold here for a moment. We're going to do another hip opener here. I'm going to bring the feet and legs together a little bit. Picking up the left foot, I'm going to cross my left ankle over right thigh. Just like that, like you're sitting in a chair, you just crossed your leg. Put a light flex in the left foot, all right, so that leg stays engaged. Take your left hand and just gently push that left knee away, just forward, okay? We're getting into the outer hip and leg a little bit. Not a lot of sensation here, all righty? Now what you could do, completely optional, stay here or pick up the right foot off the floor, bringing the legs towards yourself. What you'll do with your hands, you'll take the left hand and kind of thread it through this little opening and then clasp your fingers around your right shin or even around your right hamstrings, the back of the leg, and then hold here. Now you might feel a little bit more sensation, a stretch perhaps, in the left leg. Outer left hip and glute area. 2 more breaths. So either way is fine. You can draw the legs in, and this pose is actually called eye of the needle pose. Sometimes we call it reclining pigeon. Or that foot can be on the floor and we're gently pushing the knee away. That might be just enough. All right, let's bring the feet back down to the floor. Let's return to this neutral place. Lying flat, knees bent, feet flat on the ground. We'll do the other side. Again, you might step the feet in a little closer if you need to. Let's pick up the right foot, cross right ankle over left thigh. You just want to make sure this foot is active, so flex the foot lightly. Use your right hand and just gently push that knee away. Okay, that might be just enough sensation. Okay, it's kind of getting into the inner leg a little bit. Stay like this, or if you want to get more into that outer hip and glute area, pick up the left foot, draw the legs towards yourself, thread that needle, okay, with the right hand, clasp your fingers around the left leg wherever you can reach. And now that we've lifted the left foot up off the floor, you might want to flex that foot. It just keeps the legs active when you flex your feet. It's also another way of just paying attention, just noticing what's going on inside of you, because that certainly does take your attention. Some nice deep breaths. You can just hold static, which is probably easier to do. You could add a little movement if you're able. I'm just massaging by rocking left and right a little bit. One more breath, and then we'll do one more pose. Let's set the left foot back down onto the floor, uncross that leg, come back to this neutral position. Notice again, just as we did earlier in our practice, moving from an engaged body to a relaxed body. One last posture. Draw both knees into chest. You might lightly flex the feet. We're taking a twist. We're sending both knees over to the left, down towards the floor, while you take your right arm out to the right side of the room. And it'll create a natural twist in the spine. Take some deep breaths here. Now for me, remember, my hips are tight. I feel this in my right hip in a good way, especially because I'm using my left hand and I'm gently pressing this top leg down. And that just creates a little bit more of a twist, but also a little bit more sensation in that outer hip. Now I'm at about 65%, I would say. I feel this, it feels good, I enjoy this. I don't feel like I'm stressing my body. I could lighten it up if I wanted to. And I would say err on lightening it up. Just because sometimes we can be tense, but not know that we're tense, and that feels normal. All right, let's carefully come back to center. Keep the knees hugging in towards your body. And that's another thing you might start to be more aware of as you get into a yoga practice. You start to realize the true difference between your own stressed body and what it feels like to be relaxed in your own body. Because your tension, when you're tense, you might think you're relaxed. All right, let's go ahead and send the knees over to the right. Left arm to the left. My right hand is gently on top of this top leg. I'm barely putting any pressure on it. Really feeling a nice twist in my spine and low back, affecting the outer hip and glute in a wonderful way. Yoga will certainly teach you and show you how you can be more calm, more at ease, less tension moving through your body, perhaps even less anxious. You'll start to feel or notice what it really and truly feels like for you to be relaxed, with no tension in your muscles, no pain in your joints, or at least less pain. 2 more breaths here. And now on to our very last pose. Let's bring the knees back up to center. Hug the knees in, just hold for a second. Then set the feet down. Soften, feel the body relax. Notice that change. That's the lesson. Feel the tense body turn into a relaxed body. And then extend the legs straight out in front of you here. This is Savasana. Nice relaxing finishing pose. Allow your body as best as you can to just melt into the ground. We're disengaging muscles as best as we can. We're not trying to hold ourselves up. We're not in any fancy positions. Now just really allowing yourself to experience the full effect of being relaxed. Hopefully we released some tightness in the outer hips to help that process of feeling more relaxed. You're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like, especially if you are really relaxed here and just want to take advantage of this opportunity. So even as I end the practice, you're certainly welcome to stay lying down on your back. But when you are ready to move, just take some deep breaths, maybe 3 or 5 deep breaths. These deep breaths are to help generate energy in your body. Feel movement begin to return to your body. And then feel the body move. I'm bending my knees, feet on the ground, carefully rolling to one side, and then pressing myself up to seated. I'm going to bring in my blanket to sit on. And just as we did at the beginning of the practice, sit up as tall as you can. You're welcome to keep your hands on your lap, arms relaxed, or bring your hands to your heart. Take one more breath with me. Inhale. Exhale. Good. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.